Welcome to the Balancing Busy podcast. I am Leah Rimele, and we are talking about wealth today. I have Sharita Humphreys on with me. This is actually part 2 of a 2-part podcast episode. So you'll be a little bit lost if you jump in right now. So I want to just encourage you, take a step back, listen to part 1, the podcast episode right before this one, and then come back to this one. If you've already listened to part 1, then you are on a cliffhanger. You are ready to find out how we actually build wealth now that we've talked about just these mindset shifts that we've got to have. The conversation, of course, is going to continue that direction. We've got so much more to talk about because the real truth is we need something that is sustainable. We need something that we can continue with so that this isn't just a pipe dream. It becomes a reality for each and every one of us that we truly feel like we have wealth and it's possible no matter the income bracket. I love how Sharita made that so clear right from the beginning. So let's pop right back in. So how do we shift to truly starting to build wealth?
So one of the things is mindset. Mindset has a direct impact on behavior, how we feel about it. And sometimes, number one, mindset. It's going to be important to shift it. That's going to take a lot of work. But the mindset shift is not as hard as managing your money. I know that sounds, you know why? Because we run thoughts all day. You're like, can I really do this? Man, I see so many people doing this. So that's why it's important to start doing mindset work, talking and speaking positively about your money journey and making sure that you hold you accountable. Because and get an accountability partner. Because money like diets, that's why you have people who are personal trainers. And that's why you have people who look at things and do videos. Because guess what? All of us need some type of help. Doesn't matter where we're building wealth, but especially with changing our money mindset, if we didn't come from money, if we didn't have money conversations, or if we did come from a background where we had money, but we didn't honor the wealth that was transferred to us. So understanding to be able to forgive yourself of the lack of knowledge or the lack or overspending. Because if not, guess what? It's always going to be a hurdle as you start to build wealth. So forgiving yourself. If you've overspent, if you've become someone like me who started to be a money hoarder because you're like, oh, I hit financial rock bottom, I'm not spending any money. Now, how was I going to build wealth that way? My
Right.
money's only going to do so much for me if it's just sitting. It's not going to do anything. It's like if I just put it under the mattress or keep it in my purse. How is it going to multiply? Most of the time, I'm just going to either spend it or be scared of it. So understanding that money mindset plays a huge role in wealth, but understanding your behaviors are something that you control. But you have to be able to control the things that could give you a negative behavior pattern. Because sometimes it's just because we see a flash deal, is it a deal? Just because somebody upgrades their vehicle, do you know if it's stressing them out to keep that vehicle? If it's just a look, like she said, are they looking rich to you? But if you were to look in their financial wheelhouse, they're poor and they're just above keeping their head above water. Because remember, rich is just like social media. It's only going to
That's
show you
so
the
good.
highlight. It's only going to show you the highlight reel. You only get the highlight reels. In 90% of people's stories, posts, that's why transparency always goes viral. You don't have to be viral with everybody else with your money journey unless that's what you want to do. But what you can do is be transparent with yourself and say that it's okay for me to spend my money and be a little bougie if because I work hard. But it's also okay for you to say, you know what? No, I can't afford that. And it's okay for me to wait and for me to save for it so that way I can enjoy the experience. Because have you ever went and done something and you bought something? It felt good at the moment, but now you look at it and it feels like a curse or a burden. So it wasn't even, it was only a quick fix. So we
Right.
have to manage the quick fixes for the long-term gains.
Yes, we have to get honest about
Right,
where our money is going and if we are setting ourselves up for quick wins or instant gratification or
right,
long-term success. Because, you mentioned, do I have the money for this? But I think there are for some people that's very much where they're at, right? Like, do I honestly
right,
have the money for this? And we need to acknowledge where we are and just know wherever you are right now, you can shift. You can level up.
right,
You are capable.
right,
But I want to point out for those who do have the financial means, there are times where it's not about do I have the money? Yes, I do. But is it the
right,
right place for me to put that money? Because if I add up all those different
right.
things, right? I put those together and I'm like, dang, that's a lot of money. And where could I have put that instead? Is there somewhere that I could have put that would have served me
Right.
even better than, this right now thing that
And it would make you
seems
more
good?
money. If you, yeah, it would have made you
Yes.
even more money. Because if you would have invested that money, and talk to your advisor, talk to someone on your wealth team and just ask them, where else can I do? I have this money. I'm able to afford more things than most, but I see that my purchases and that my spending habits are really adding up to something. And I'm happy at the moment, but it's not memorable because
Right.
it's a difference between having a moment and being memorable and something being
That's good.
memorable.
Yes. Well, and just looking at, we can have all the things now, but if you ever have
Right,
those moments where you're having a bit of panic of like, but
right.
what is my financial security look like at
Hmm.
retirement age? Then
Wow.
that's the wake up call to try to make
Right.
those shifts and get ourselves set up to know that we're going to be safe. I think one thing that will be interesting, I don't know if that's the right word, but to kind of see what happens is, our generation and certainly the generation coming up behind us, the millennials, we love, and anyone listening to this, we love the idea of working for ourselves. We love the idea
Hmm.
of building our own dreams. But with that comes a responsibility of figuring out what our retirement is going to look like because we're not taking that conventional way, and I'm going to say, I don't think it's the best way. There's a reason I'm an entrepreneur. I think this is the best way, but there is nobody, Sharita and I were joking about this beforehand. There's nobody matching our 401ks, right? When you're an entrepreneur,
No,
like you have to
I'm
be
the man.
yeah. Yeah, you have to be thinking about your future and setting yourself up for long-term success. So you mentioned, you're ready to look at investing and, you could go to your financial advisor. At what point do you get a financial advisor? Should everyone have one? Is there a certain income bracket that starts looking at that? What do you think?
I think that one of the things that you have to look at is that you want to know going in. So we have some people, like you said, some people have where they have expendable income. They have more than enough. They can talk to a financial advisor. They can lay out a plan for them. But one of the things I want people to know who are starting the journey or may not be there just yet is it's nothing wrong with just having a consultation, with just picking up and scheduling a meeting. So that way, at least you know before you get there, keeps the momentum. Do those things so that you're planning. It's nothing like starting on the floor and going up the wall. It really gives you something to look at. And then they will let you know based on where you are, where they feel like they can come in to help you expand your financial portfolio. Because if you're trying to just keep your head above water, or you're listening to this and you feel like you're already drowning, then you really don't have much to invest with. But
Right.
you guess what? Time is the best thing because guess what? as you start to build and you start to really be able to get your flaps and start to swim and you get your wings and then you can fly, guess what? You can start to look at people. But I would say always never count it out. I didn't have but a few $100s in the bank, and I remember asking to speak to a banker. I know I was a little bit. If my mom told me I'm a rebel, I think I'm a trailblazer. 'Cause you need some trailblazing abilities to go into entrepreneurship. But I wanted to know, what did I need to do to build a better banking relationship? And they told me, didn't cost me anything. All I did was ask a question. So many times we don't even start the wealth journey by asking the people who are attached or can explain and connect you to wealth. You need to know what you're going into. How can you plan for wealth if you don't have any idea about it? Whether
Oh,
that's
yes.
reading or talking to people who can say, when you're here, here's some of the next steps. So guess what? They've laid out your blueprint for you. So you know, at least it may not go all as planned, but at least you have something to follow.
So as you were saying that, the thing that kept coming to my mind, and I love that you finished it with it, was number one, education. Like, educate
Mhm.
yourselves. Ladies, we are capable of learning and understanding money. No one taught any of us.
Right.
Someone got taught, but it wasn't me, it wasn't Sharita, and it
Maybe
probably wasn't.
me.
There was no good financial class, no. It's shocking to me that this still isn't part of our education system, but it's just not. We're
No.
not taught these things. So don't feel like there's something wrong with you. This is a we problem, not a me problem. So first of all,
Right.
go get yourself educated. Pick up some books, find some podcasts about money, start listening and start learning. And then the second
Right.
thing is start having some conversations. Schedule those consultations and don't ever, ever, ever schedule just one. Never. If we are talking about an accountant, if we are talking about a financial advisor, a financial planner, or a tax planner, any of those things, do not go with the first person. Always,
Right.
always schedule at least three. Number one
Right.
reason, you're not going to believe how much you learn. You are going to be shocked how much acumen you even pick up, because like I remember the first time I needed an accountant, right? And I my very first experience, I did it the wrong way. I went to the very first person, I asked, does anybody know someone? Someone said, "Oh, this is who we use." I didn't even think to ask the follow-up question, "Do you feel like they're doing a great job for you?" Later, I totally found out they didn't. They just had an answer, right? So I went with them. It was not good. The second time, I got smarter and I set up interviews and I talked to several different CPAs. And I was shocked how much I learned just talking to three
Right.
different CPAs. And on top of that, obviously, I found someone who I felt was best suited for me and my financial situation, which, in my sense is, as an entrepreneur, it's different than if I was in corporate or whatever it might be. I had a W 2. And so I learned so much. And then the next thing was I started picking up books. I started actually reading books about money. And Sharita, I agree with you so much. The first step is mindset. And so, my first books were just trying to learn and understand. I started with like very technical, and then I realized I'm not ready for that yet. And I went to the mindset work and figured that stuff out. And then I went back to the technical, and then it was a lot easier. So the last question I want to ask you is, what are your favorite money books? Like, where are your favorite places to go that have really inspired and helped you?
So of course, one of my favorite books, it has a little bit of mindset, but it's also has been the thing that helped me with building money, building wealth, and I'm still on my wealth journey, is the book. It's called The One Thing.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I love The One Thing.
Yep.
Another one of my favorite books, that helped me because remember, wealth starts with you, is The Millionaire Next Door.
Yep.
Love that book.
Yep.
And I love, love, love for those who are thinking about creating wealth, going to an entrepreneur. If you're sitting in your 9 to 5 listening to this, or you're in your cubicle or driving to work or sitting at home, like, how do I do this? I love the book, The Big Leap.
Oh, so good.
Simple, simple, but so mind blowing that it opens your mind up to so much that you start to look at your money, you start to look at your behaviors, you start to look at your life and your lifestyle, and how it is to be able to take that leap. Because many times we won't leap until we're forced. And that's when many times we're in panic mode. But when you can leap in peace, it opens up so, so much to you that you are like, why didn't I do this before? What was I so afraid of? And so that's the same thing that equates to us managing and even having a budget because we're like, I don't really have anything to budget, or if I do, I don't really care about a budget at this month. I have more than enough. But guess what? You can still have more than enough. Just because
Yeah.
you have money, there's still money out there. That's why you have people who are like Elon Musk who are still creating things to make even more money, and even though he's a billionaire.
Oh,
So
a hundred
figuring out
percent. I mean, the thing is my husband and I
there's
have had
enough.
this, we've had this conversation. I don't really plan to retire. I plan to not have to work, but I don't really, outside of, maybe health things, I don't really want to or picture myself not working. I love working. It brings me joy. Even when I have a
Yeah.
day and there is, I don't, everyone's gone. That actually happened to me a couple weeks ago. Hubby was gone, all the kids were gone. I had a whole day and a half completely to myself, and everyone was like, "What did you do with it?" And I was like, "I worked." And I was so happy. Like, it brought me
Right.
joy. So I first of all, I cannot stress enough, if you have not read The Big Leap, that's by Gay Hendricks. It is
Yes.
mind blowing,
Everything.
life
Right.
changing, the most, I read it last year, most powerful book I read
Right.
the entire year, and I read a lot of books. So, yes, oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes. I will link to all of those in the show notes. The other book that I would add is Happy Money by Ken Honda. I hope I'm saying it right. I'll have it in the show notes. I'm pretty sure it's Happy Money. So powerful with the mindset of money. It is really based around the Japanese philosophy around money, and was just so enlightening to me and really shifted the way I see money, which is, I think, a very American, Western way of looking at money. And it was just really, really powerful. So that is another one that I would add that I've really enjoyed with helping me with my money mindset and learning those things. And then,
So I'm definitely going to pick that one. Yeah, so you just added something to my book list for this year. But yes, I love learning. Learning is something. The new currency to building wealth is education. Education is the new currency. Not education in a traditional sense, but self-education,
yes.
self-development.
And that's the thing. Things like this is something we can all recognize and understand. Things are happening so fast. Now, this isn't going to
Right.
go live for months, but this week is the week that Threads came out. And, I'm just going to use that as an example because we have a new social media platform that has shown
Right.
up literally this week. We can either get educated, learn about it, use it, or decide not to use it, or we just bury our heads in the sand because we're intimidated. That's not going to serve us. Chat GPT, guess what? AI is here. It is not going anywhere. We're either
Yeah.
going to
Here to
learn
stay.
how to utilize it, or we are going to get left behind. One of the things that I think makes a little bit more of a level playing field, especially for us as women, is that there are new things coming out all the time. And if we just
Mhm.
choose to take an attitude of I'm going to dive in, I'm going to learn, I'm going to figure this out, I'm going to see if it's going to serve me, then guess what? No one's further ahead than you because it's new for everybody. I'm thinking about how cryptocurrency, and I mean there are a lot of new, there is literally a new form of currency that has been created in the
Everything.
last
Right.
several
Not even
years.
several years. Yeah,
How
several
crazy
years.
is that? And so
Right.
we can either choose to learn a little bit about it, get an understanding of it, and then guess what? We're right there with we're above the majority really, or we hide from it. So I'm just going to encourage, like, especially when we're talking about wealth and money, I get the desire to hide from it. I've done it. I understand it. It's scary. It's intimidating. They use very big words and very big language. Guess what? It was all developed and designed on purpose to make the rest of us feel intimidated and believe that we needed other people to do it all for us. But that is not true. We can get our own education. There is so much knowledge out there. And if we'll just invest time, not even money, just invest some time into learning these things, we are going to be so much further ahead. And then we can start making moves.
Yes, I agree with you. And you mentioned time. And so, lastly, time freedom. We all search for, we want to be debt free. We want to be able to buy the things that we want. But time freedom will allow you to be, if you have more time, I tell this to my clients, I say this on all the platforms I speak on. I've been able to create the most money that I've ever been, not just as an entrepreneur, but because I have more time. Because if you have more time, then you have more time to really be able to focus on the things that are going to be passive income generators, that are going to be things that are going to help. Because a lot of times we're chasing financial freedom, but many times people tie so much into financial freedom that they lose time with themselves, their loved ones. And by the time that they look up, so much time has passed by, they didn't even enjoy all of the great things that they were doing and the lifestyle that they were creating because they were so focused on creating financial freedom. When you create time freedom and you focus on that, what would you do with that time? Then guess what? You'll start to generate financial freedom thoughts, ideas, and you'll start to connect those dots. So that way your blueprint is mapped out for you. And write it in pencil. I started to do that or put it on a sticky. You know why? Because you can always change those things. You can create something new. Your wealth journey will change. Your number doesn't, it could change too. But the path on how you get there, just be open to it and create benchmarks and milestones and keep listening to podcasts like this, picking up books about mindset, picking up books about money, but ultimately surrounding yourself by like-minded people and women who support you on this journey because wealth is not built alone.
So good. So good. Okay, Sharita, tell everyone how they can find you and connect with you.
So you can connect with me over at SharitaMHumphrey.com. My DMs are open. I love to connect with people. I love to be able to answer questions. I'm over on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. I have a free Facebook group. It's called the Money Mindset Movement. We talk about ways to be, there's trailblazers. There are a group of trailblazers who are like-minded, and we're all creating wealth together.
I love it. Oh, so good. Okay, thank you so much for being part of this episode and just sharing your knowledge with us. I'm so grateful. And to all of our listeners, thank you so, so much for being part of Balancing Busy. I'll see you next week.